Hi, my name is Happy. I'm autistic, and I'm starting to think I might be ADHD too, but more will be revealed. So I did my first blog 2 weeks ago, and this is my second one. I think I'm going to try to do them every 2 weeks. Um, this one, I'd like to focus today on what happened that led me to the realization that I'm autistic. So I've always been a bit odd, as many people can tell you. And I certainly can tell you. However, um, there's this concept in the disability community called spoons, and it's sort of a measure of energy. Like if you only have so many spoons for spoons of something to make a recipe, and it's like you only have so many spoons in a day of energy. And it's a little different than time because time is just time. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day, whether you're the president of Malaysia. I don't know if Malaysia has a president or a prime minister or what, president of the United States, or whether you are a person living on the streets. You have the same 24 hours in one day. However, energy is a little different because certain things might take more energy to do than others, and those things might have to do with either sensory processing or cognitive processing of sensory things, or cognitive processing by itself, especially for autistic people. So, like for example, for me, I've learned that dealing with groups takes a tremendous amount of spoons for me. So 20 minutes in a group would be a lot of spoons, as opposed to 20 minutes with myself would be very little spoons, or 20 minutes with a close friend one-on-one is very little spoons. Sometimes it actually gives me spoons to have one-on-one close conversations because I'm nourished by them. Another example might be bright light. It takes my spoons away very, very quickly. And technology in general, screens, anything that changes rapidly in my visual field, like pop-up windows on the computer screen, pretty much anything on a computer screen changes rapidly. And it's challenging for me to process it. And my pupils have a hard time dilating that quickly. So it's just a painful experience and takes up a lot of my spoons. These kinds of things. Other things, if I'm doing something that's sticky, my hands get sticky. These are some of my sensory things that takes up a lot of spoons and freaks me out. And then I do things to compensate for it. And then, yeah. So anyway, I don't know why I got off topic, but spoons is a whole nother topic. So what happened for me is I went through a major medical, physical healing event, and I was on medication and dealing with a major surgery and the hospital system, and I didn't have any spoons anymore. And I needed a lot of help, and I had to ask for a lot of help, which is unusual for me. I tend to want to be on my own a lot, which is also characteristic of autistic people, and smart enough to be able to get through a lot of things without need for help. And had the energy, the spoons, to do whatever wraparounds I needed to do to get through life in the society that we live in. And when I had this major health transformation initiation, I didn't have those extra spoons. And my brain was affected by the medications as well. So like my cognitive processing, which was probably one of my greatest strengths, was deeply affected. And I needed a lot of help. And so people were coming and helping me. But I was weirdly specific about what I needed, about food being cut a certain way, or I started writing these very, very specific, detail-oriented lists for people to help me, breaking down tasks in a very methodical way, almost like my undergrad, almost like an occupational therapist or a organizational communication person. And like a machine. Like I was like trying to break down these tasks like a machine would do it. And I think people didn't really, or I knew I had to move in a certain way, and I couldn't explain to people why I had to move in a certain way. Like I needed certain things done a certain way, or I needed certain textures of clothes, or I needed, if I was going to be driven, I needed this certain, not this kind of music playing while I was going in, like just all these different kind of really specific weird things. And I was in such a vulnerable position to ask, to need so much help. And sometimes the help that would come, I couldn't communicate my needs to them. And so I ended up, something that was supposed to be helpful ended up taking up more of my spoons, more of my energy than helping, actually. So I kind of pushed everybody away at a certain point and just was like, there's something different about me. And I had always identified, I'd heard about this thing called a highly sensitive person. And I had some friends who have similar characteristics as I do, who had identified as that. And we had all sort of looked at it and identified as that. And some of those things were like, sensitivity to noise, smells, being able to sort of empathically, intuitively read people's emotions, getting overwhelmed quickly by social situations, getting drained by people's strong emotions, almost taking on their emotions, things like this. I always related to this idea of this highly sensitive person. Some people call it indigo children. There's a lot of different names for it in different communities or different modalities. And so I started, when I was going through this experience of having very little energy and cognitively being affected by the medication and needing help, and I remember this highly sensitive person thing, and I was trying to maybe incorporate that into my requests for help so people understood better. I looked it up again. Hadn't looked it up in a few years, and this time I looked it up. There was an article that said that a highly sensitive person is probably just a female autistic or something along those lines, like the female version. And please, it's not just female version of autism. It could be female bodied. It could be just like the other type of autism that's more likely to occur in a female bodied person, and that is less, has been less researched and less identified historically. And I had a bombshell moment in reading that article, and there's a siren going off. This is what I do when the sirens happen. Okay, I think it's gone. So I just basically meow at the same pitch as the sirens. And it helps me not get freaked out by the noise. And it's called echolalia, kind of like, yeah. I used to do it in siren noise, like exactly the same, but then I kind of like realized, okay, I sound like a cat, and I like cats better than sirens and cop cars. Nothing against cops. It's a whole nother discussion that I'm not getting into right now. Yes, there are things that need to be fixed in the correctional system. But anyway, off topic. So my point is that I like cats. Many autistic people like cats. There's a book even, I think, that says like all cats are autistic or all something like that. And all the friends I have who I think probably are autistic and I really relate to all are real big cat lovers. So anyway, my point is that before the siren came and distracted me, I was talking about highly sensitive people in that article. And then once I got that article, like something clicked for me and I started hyper-focusing and really, really researching autism in females, watching everything I could on YouTube, and not just females, but autism in general. I watched a lot of what was formerly Asperger from the Inside, but is now Autism from the Inside videos. I watched a lot of Yosemite Sam's videos. There was some British researcher lady who I watched all of her lectures. And that's how I started my journey. And I don't think I'm alone in that. Many people, I think, start their journey or have this realization when life stops working for them. And that could be in any of the life structures like career, health, family, relationships. It's like life just stops working and then people hit a bottom and maybe finally get curious or have the curiosity at the same time that the information has changed or is available in the public in a way it hadn't been previously, or some kind of thing happens and the coincidences occur and the information and the curiosity mix and the realization occurs. Women, yeah, there's not been a lot of diagnoses and understanding about autism in women till really, really recently. And so even though there was suggestions that my mom knew when I was very young, 'cause she has a degree in early childhood education, I kind of have to like tell myself that even if she did know, if she had tried to get the resources or support at that time, I'm pretty sure the things that they were up to in the 80s, mid 80s, early 90s for autistic females probably wouldn't have been very supportive or healthy for me to do anyway. So that's how I found out. There's a lot of women who are getting diagnosed in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Their children are getting diagnosed, and then they're learning that they're autistic as well. Yeah, there's a lot going on with females and autism, and I've learned a lot. I have a lot of experience, and I'm just super passionate about creating a world that works for everyone, including autistic people. I might be ADHD too, so I'm not sure what other diagnoses I have, but I'm really passionate about creating a world that works for everybody. And I'll talk more about that later, but I think like there are organizations and things that can give a taste of that. I think the Special Olympics is one of them. I'm really in awe of the experiences I've had with them. I don't know if they're a perfect organization. I don't know if there is a perfect organization, but I think that there are paradigms out there, models out there of beginning to create a world that works for everyone. And I want that. I want to help with that. I want to create that. I want to be part of that. So here I am sharing my own experience, and I hope this was helpful to somebody. Thank you. Bye.